Bunny, ByuN, Party. 2021 GSL Season 3 Codex. Africa TV Free Cup Studio Live 2021 GSL Season 3.
Welcome back, everyone. It's time for the losers match, and how insane is this? In Group D, the losers match is ByuN versus Dark.
Yeah, I mean, well, this is the way of things. A couple of old world champions, a couple of GSL champions.
Yep, fighting to just get into the top 8. And Bunny, by the way, who
I don't
honestly,
think either of them are going to make it.
That's what's crazy about this. Bunny, who right now really does look like maybe the greatest Terran ever, is sitting in the losers match, partying with just some very good aggro play, handled it very well, has managed to escape into the round of 8, and who knows who's going to stop him on his journey to become #1. But right now in this elimination phase, one of these two players is out of the last season of GSL Codex in 2021.
Right. I think Dark takes it, but I want to see ByuN, like old ByuN. I mean, he already, like, what was it, last year he almost eliminated Dark from a tournament.
It's true. Let's see what happens this time around.
Codex. Shopify Rebellion, ByuN. Dragon Phoenix Gaming, Dark.
All right. This is kind of a fun match, right? Who knows what year this is? You
Yeah.
just drop someone in here.
ByuN versus Dark.
Could
It's
be,
like, oh.
yeah. Could be so many different years.
Yeah.
All the way back to Dark has been one of the best Zergs in the world since 2015.
That's true.
Yeah.
He really rose up then.
And that's,
And,
I guess that's right around when ByuN really started to be a monster.
Yeah, well, there was a
2016 was his championship, right?
Yeah, but it was like this year period where he just started to crush. Like, he's always been kind of a fan favorite. He was one of the players, he'd be very emotional whether he won or whether he lost. And obviously that tends to get a lot of fan support. You know, I think...
Oh, he's got it all, Tasteless. He's emotional, and he's a micro-base player.
Yeah.
And he's a Terran player.
Yeah.
Those three things, it's just like...
You're going to get fans.
I've never seen...
The early days of Marine King was...
Oh,
the only
my
thing I saw
God.
close. The Marine King fans.
Oh, my God, yeah.
But... You know, he
passionately micro that Marauder under the last burning building
that's
that's
right before
floating
he's
with it.
eliminated.
Yeah.
But you know, there was a very specific time that he really rose to the top, and I think he was promptly put back down a couple ranks after that.
So yeah, let's remember the time. So the year that he won the World Championship, he had to win the last GSL to even qualify.
Right.
He beat SOS in the finals against a Kespa team, right? A whole Kespa team against ByuN. It was like the greatest storyline ever. He beat SOS.
Right.
In
SOS
a
and
finals.
all the Gen Air players were there.
Yeah, the whole
trying
team.
to map this out. SOS. A lot of people thought that okay, he's finally going to win a GSL now.
Which, by the way, SOS had won the previous year's World Championship, I'm remembering correctly. He won 2013
yes,
and
I think that's
15.
correct.
So he was like, you know, he's SOS. It's like, okay, and then ByuN qualifies, makes it, wins the whole damn thing. And let's see, the next year, I'm trying to remember how he fared the next year, and I'm kind of drawing a little bit of a blank. That was the year that Rogue really rose up and destroyed. But yeah, I mean, I guess his period of domination wasn't that big. I mean, he was always one of the best Terrans in Korea for a really long time.
Sure, yeah.
Still kind of a contender and stuff, but not as many real championships as the other 3 horsemen, but he's the only one with a world championship, right? Innovation, TY, and Maru do not have that.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah, like TY has Katowice.
It's like, you know, with SOS getting all these championships and he still hasn't won a GSL.
Yeah,
it's like he's been in basically every GSL still, and it hasn't happened. It's interesting how some tournaments gel with some players.
Yeah, it's weird to see which players are missing which tournaments too.
Yeah, and then you basically have Rogue, who's just done it all.
Oh yeah, no, he's won like everything fathomable.
Yeah, he seems to be suited for any type of tournament format. It can be a marathon, week-long or 2-week-long format. It can be the weekend format. It can be, you know, the multiple-week format with GSL.
The only other player that's really like Rogue over the long term like that, I think, was on MVP.
Yeah, MVP had such an inordinate amount of success. It's kind of hard to when you take that early StarCraft and compare it to this late StarCraft. You know, like, this is the same thing with StarCraft 1. If you look at the very first best StarCraft 1 pros, and I mean like the first best StarCraft 1 players, like a lot of them were on battlereports.com.
Yeah.
And a couple of the first Korean tournaments. They were good, but it was like such a different game that it's hard to kind of compare it to where we're at now with the meta. But I'll park that thought here because we have this parade of Marines coming up.
25 Marines with stim and combat shields.
Yeah.
That's a lot. That's a lot of damage output. Let's see what, like, this is kind of a wild build. Like, we were having so much fun kind of talking about the past and what these guys have done, but like,
I don't understand if this is actually going to do any damage to roaches and queens.
It's not.
I feel like...
But these units, as long as he doesn't throw them away, just run. Yeah, it's okay. He lost a few Marines. It's not the end of the world. But his units at least scale well, right? That's kind of the important thing here, I guess.
Sure.
But the thing is, Dark's roaches scale better than anyone else's roaches. He's very good at Roach. He's very good at Roach Ravager. So I'm not too worried about him here, but an interesting play here from ByuN. We've seen stuff like this before where you go for the mass Marines, you walk around, and then you follow it up with medevacs and siege tanks and try to push down a base. Kind of keeps them a little bit more drone-light, because they do have to produce a bunch of units. The Overseer coming in sees everything.
Yeah, it's like you're getting stuff in a different order. You fill the rest in later on.
Yeah.
And I mean, let's see how well this is going to go. I mean, having the Marauders as well as medevacs in here, suddenly this is actually an army that can fight.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to see those Marauders a little bit further up in the front. 12 more roaches are being produced.
Backs up a bit here. Oh my god. Well, that is a lot of roaches there to fight against that. Pulling back off the creep.
You know, leading up to this moment, I was asking myself, I mean, if ByuN can do this against Dark, then he can probably do this against any Zerg in the world because Dark is so strong with roaches, but it does seem like this is getting beaten back pretty easily. The 4th base setup is already there right now for Dark as well. He doesn't have the base there, but he's certainly got the position ready to fill that in with a hatchery any minute now.
This is incredibly interesting. He's getting burrow and burrow movement. That is something we do not see very often.
Yeah, well, it makes you wonder, right? I mean, the Ravens we have no Ravens out right now, right? I mean, he could easily just wait for some kind of a push to come, get underneath that and pop up and win the fight that way.
Yeah, I mean, if you knock down the tanks with that, that's going to be amazing. ByuN going to the main, but roaches come there quickly enough. Some vials making him change course.
Here come those tanks now.
And don't forget, when you get burrow movement, you get those little spikes on the roaches. I know it's been a while since we've really seen that upgrade here, but he will be able to tell instantly when it finishes.
Everything blowing up in his face there. 16 roaches have been killed so far.
Not that bad, actually, considering how much he's killed as well. All right, burrow movement is about to be done. Okay, he definitely sees it now. Coming up. He does have those vials ready. Throws him down on that tank, but actually kills the tank before they even hit.
Okay, another big win here. I mean,
yeah.
ByuN just makes, you know, what looked like a strong attack. He came out, but again, it's one of these moments where you can't really be on the floor for that long with this army. Look at this, he's gonna push in here now. He's got the biles to gun down the tank.
Beautiful on the tank.
This is where I'm worried for ByuN right now. Look at the supplies here. We got Dark nearly maxed out. He's probably gonna keep making Roaches Ravagers and just dive onto the natural. I mean, I think he's at the phase where you can basically just force a fight and you know, make the Terran decide how much longer they really want to be in this game, because they're not going to win.
Well, ByuN is engaging half the army where he can, but look at that. Good micro from Dark, pulling back and forth on each side. SCV's coming up to fight. This is very Marauder heavy, so ByuN will crush the army on the right. He's losing a few SCVs and everything, but like as the supply goes up, ByuN's army becomes a bit stronger. But Dark has added a little bit. I saw him getting pathogen glands, so definitely going to be adding some fungals in here.
He also doesn't have any more heal on his medevacs, we should point out here.
Yeah,
these are empty medevacs. And so, you know, again, I think that the muscle from Dark is really getting flexed here. I mean, again, you know, if Terran doesn't get a third base, Terran's going to run out of resources.
Yeah, that's true.
It's, you know, it's very different from a fight that you have in a much more drawn out long game where they're, you know, trying to fight over a sixth or even seventh base. This is the third base. You have no standing in late game. And, you know, without it even being mining from 3 bases to begin with, the production really is hurting. And so if I see this correctly, it's kind of a situation where Dark can just trade inefficiently in over and over again and keep making Roaches and keep making Ravagers. You can see he's added some Speedlings in here, because why not? And although the third base position has changed, I think the situation right now for the Terran has not changed. I think that, you know, Dark is able to take his lead and basically kind of slam that down the Terran's position. And so we should see another big attack here. Here's that burrow.
Okay, coming around, getting ready for this attack. Has some Lings in there now as well. An Infester with the army. Even one fungal in the middle of that. Oh my god. Craziness.
Here we go. Oh, get ready for the biles.
He hits himself with the biles there, but still erases a big chunk of the army. Some good micro from ByuN.
Yeah, again, I think there's one medevac in here with actual energy.
Yeah, pushing forward here once again. He's carved off a lot of the Roaches now. Look at it, the supplies are getting a bit closer now.
Lings are going to be coming out here. We're going to have that Lurker tech prepared as well. It does seem like ByuN's actually survived, and so the game's going to go on.
Yeah, 2-2 against what's soon to be 2-2. But with those Vipers coming out, it's going to be a little bit difficult. Yeah, like when you look at these two army supplies now, when it was like 40 against 120, okay, that's very scary. But now we're up to 100 against 126, and it's very Roach heavy. That's playable here for ByuN. He can actually take fights against that. But as you add the Lurkers in, it's going to become very difficult once again.
Hey, all these Lings coming up here, they're going to force a lift off. ByuN going to have to try to relocate back home. Zerg's taken the 3 o'clock spot here, taking that very important 5th base. By the way, the 4th here for Terran. It's going to be a tough one to take, but I think for now, all Terran can do is try to power up and clear creep where he can.
Still pushing that creep back a little bit, forcing the liftoffs. Of course, that is at your leisure as Terran here, because it just doesn't really have anything that shoots up. Second factory is on the way. It's going to be a while before he can really build up that siege count. I'm not sure exactly how many he has right now. He has to have at least like 4 or 5, right?
That's a good question. I think so. But, you know, Zerg is now teching up, especially with the Vipers here.
Oh, he actually has 7 tanks already and 12 medevacs. Not bad, not bad.
Yeah, that's much better than we thought.
Yeah.
Little scan comes down, or almost doesn't kill that Lurker. Got to be careful there.
Oh my god, the fungals plus the parasitics. Huge play right there from Dark. Really shaving down a lot of the health there on those medevacs. Those are going to start really popping very, very quickly now. Look at how much damage was put on. All right, Lurker's still being upgraded. Space has a decent amount of creep kind of protecting it right now. But ByuN continuing to push forward. He is just about maxed out. It's definitely a very fearsome army.
Okay, here comes the big attack in here. Is there enough to cover all of these tanks? Lightning clouds coming down, giving the Zerg a very good position here, and a nice fungal on top of that infantry. The last tank goes down.
Yeah, the files there are amazing as well, but there is a counter drop going down right now. It looks like this third base location can be taken out.
But as the counter drop comes
Oh,
in, a counter
that's an F2,
here.
man. Oh, that is really, really painful. 100% that was an F2 right there. He could have killed the hatchery, but
grab all units.
I just saw him roll his eyes. ByuN just rolled it. He knows that that hatchery was his. And now he's not going to be able to kill it.
Yeah, and it's such an important location.
Yeah.
You know, only 4 patches there, but oh man, and now these medevacs are stuck.
Yeah.
That's where they live now. That's their home.
That's a tough one.
Meanwhile, a push coming up here. I don't know if it's going to be enough to defend for the Zerg here.
It's only Ravagers, so gotta add a little bit more in. Drops these Marauders out. They're not going to do too much more. Queen's coming up to deal with it. Trying to get every little bit of damage he can, but 9 more Lurkers are morphing. ByuN has taken a 4th base during all this, so that is definitely very good. But his income, a lot less. His supply, a lot less. Hopefully he can get those numbers back up. 3-3 is going to be finishing for him pretty soon. Ooh, this small outpost is going to need more reinforcements. They are coming up right now. Lurkers coming forward and burrowing. Seachanks getting picked off one by one.
Yeah, a huge push continues to come up through here. And I just don't think that ByuN has enough to hang on. GG. Dark takes that first game. I think ByuN had an impressive showing. He used a build we don't really get to talk about very much.
Yeah.
But I think we can see why we wouldn't see any other Terran players doing the same thing against Dark. Dark basically shut it down pretty easily, got control of the map. ByuN almost didn't get a 3rd base. ByuN eventually succeeded in getting that, which allowed the game to develop further, but not in a way that was going to allow ByuN to win that.
You know what, I think you're right. I think specifically against Dark, that's a hard build to pull off. When you're forcing like lots of Lings out, that is so much larva to end up holding against that many Marines. So yeah, I think you're right. That's a tough build against him. All right, we're going to go to Lightshade. This was ByuN's map pick. Can he pick up that win here against Dark?
Well, he's going to need 2 Artosis, or he is out of the GSL. Bunny actually awaits the winner of this. We could very well end up with a rematch of Dark versus Bunny, which was an insane series. Bunny won that 2-0. Dark would certainly like to redeem himself. But anyways, he's got to get through ByuN first.
GSL Season 3, Codex. Shopify Rebellion, ByuN. Dragon Phoenix Gaming, Dark.
So, I don't know if we're going to have any rushes here, but I wanted to touch upon this idea that we were beginning to unpack until ByuN did the pressure build. We had to kind of stop. But, you know, you were talking about MVP and, you know, the success that he had, but it really was a different era of StarCraft 2. Although, at least StarCraft as a game had been understood by then. You know, we were standing on the shoulders of the giants that, you know, had played Brood War, had played Warcraft 3, had played other games. So we were coming in with at least some RTS knowledge. Whereas you look at the early days of StarCraft 1, it was so Wild West. But the early games of StarCraft 2 are so much worse and caveman-like and Ooga Booga-ish when compared to what we've got now in StarCraft 2.
Yeah, no, there's certainly no question about that. But yeah, just in terms, I guess, of the overall domination, the winning everything in sight is kind of what I was talking about with MVP. But yeah, I mean, yeah, like, I think he's still like one of the guys you have to mention when you're talking about that, though, even though it is
Oh,
such
for
a
sure.
different time.
No, I mean, I think you do. It's just that, like, this was also a time period where, like, it was Terrans walling in with all their buildings at the ramp and somebody trying to bailing bust through all the walled-in buildings off one base.
Dude, yeah.
And it was, like, a very different
the time of Demaga versus DeMuslim, man.
That's right.
Bailing bus winning Demaga thousands a month. DeMuslim walling his entire ramp with eBays. It was good times, man.
We have a Roach Warren and no third hatch.
Okay.
So this is clearly going to be a more aggressive opening.
Yeah, it certainly looks that way. Yeah, let's see what it's going to be. Like, I mean, he's getting a second gas, so I think it's just a Roach Ravager push, right?
Yeah, I think it's just a straight up Roach Ravager push. And we got to see how exactly Terran's going to hold this. Now, ByuN does do some alternative TVP builds, which may be susceptible to stuff like this. These pretty straightforward Berserk rushes.
I think he's actually got a decent build against it, though. I see a Tech Lab making and a Starport making, so he might actually be headed directly towards Banshee anyways, which would be phenomenal for him. He is reactoring Marines as opposed to Hellions, so I think that's nice as well. His Marines are walking out into the middle.
This Overlord should be able to get away.
Yeah, that looks like a Banshee. I mean, if you're insta-starting a Banshee here, that's best case scenario. But look at this. Oh my god, Roaches come out, so...
And he's going to get this Overlord. But all these Marines are basically going to be killed.
Yep.
It can be easy to forget how bad Marines are off, you know, without stim. And Medivacs there, they're just not very quick units here. But nice control, actually.
He's getting the most he can out of these. Like, he's making some of the Roaches stay back. He did nail the Overlord, which was nice. He sees, like, what's rallying out at him, basically. He got the scout very early about what was happening, and he's about to have his Banshee fly over.
Yeah.
I actually like this for ByuN, I think.
Yeah, it seems pretty good for ByuN. But he is going to be taking some hits over here. I think you're right when you say the Banshee is going to come out here and basically allow him to be in this game a little bit longer. But this is a fire that has to be put out first, Artosis.
Yeah. Well, he's going to take some damage. But don't forget, he is going to have some Banshee counterplay after that as well.
Sure.
Is Seachank about to come out? So Seachank pops. Yeah, man, he's not really losing SCVs. Dark right now is only on 27 workers. And he's trying to drone behind this, and he's like sending his last Roach to turn around and go. Yeah, I love seeing two slow Roaches turn around as he drones up. He's like, yeah. I'll need these for defense.
I'll use these later.
Which is like, yes, of course, but there's just something funny about it, because it's like, well, that really did not work.
But I think he kept the army count low. He's got these Ravagers now. He's going to actually get a kill on this tank, which is nice. If he gets one more, oh, I guess the bio takes longer than you appreciate until you see just one.
That's painful. Is a Banshee going to go find him?
I always feel like the Ravagers look like quiche.
A little bit.
They do look like attack quiche.
Attack quiche?
Yeah.
Did you say attack quiche?
Well, because normal quiche you just eat, but this quiche has
it's
corrosive
a type
biles.
of quiche that attacks.
Yeah, exactly.
Attack quiche.
Yeah, I'm glad we're on the same page. Look, it's quiche with legs.
It's kind of a good-looking quiche. You're making me want some.
Looks tasty, man. You stick a spoon in its head, it's like,
It corrosive biles, you move your mouth to catch it.
Yeah.
Yum.
I'm like, oh, I know how to stop this, and I just go to my right, and it hits the ground.
That tastes like 60 damage.
So the Banshees come in, and again, even though we saw, you know, the armies traded out at the Terran side, losing workers is always worse.
Banshees coming in, and some good micro here from ByuN. Ooh! Wow.
Yeah, he's actually hitting these drones now up here in the main. You can see it's a real strain right now for Dark to deal with this.
Yeah.
But I'm more interested in the later part of this game and how ByuN's going to look when it comes to trying to control the map and dominate. Because Dark is just so comfortable at basically holding the Terran back. Now, hold on. Is this Bunny playing? Did he put 2 tanks in the medevac? Now all the pro gamers are copying Bunny.
What a world.
We should have been doing that all along. It looks like this is a 16 Marine drop. It's
this,
not.
How many units does Dark have?
I
I
don't know.
don't think, like, I like ByuN in this position so well.
Yeah, he could just win this outright.
I can't, like, ByuN is going to get some damage
Oh,
done
he's
here.
going to go here, though.
That's kind of weird, but okay.
I thought he was going to go to the third.
Right, up come the Ravagers.
Gamer Quiche are here.
Gamer Quiche now. I thought they were Attack Quiche.
Yeah, I like Gamer Quiche better. Everything I talk about now, I put Gamer in front of.
That makes it cool.
Yeah. That's
We're
how
all
you know
gamers, you know.
We're all gamers.
We love to game.
Yeah.
Well, he actually cleared that pretty darn well. And, oh, he missed the opportunity to bring the Banshee in from behind to
It
catch
almost
drones.
looked like the Queen had thrown the medevac like a basketball up through the top.
You know, it was kind of weird. Like 8 Marines and 2 tanks in siege mode. It's like not the attack that you're used to.
What's weird is that usually that's great for springing a surprise attack on the third base, and the Zerg just can't
like
quite
if the tanks are like behind a rock.
Yeah, exactly. But he just put that in the main, and that is literally just not going to work. There's enough queens and everything else that they attack move that, and you win. Again, this is the thing about ByuN is that he's been so good at micro, but I don't think he's had the same kind of decision making that someone like Parting's had. You know what I'm saying? Parting has great micro, but then he also really knows when he should attack and when he should not. And with ByuN, I look at that and I just think, well, that's one of the only ways you could almost guarantee yourself a loss is to play like that.
Well, it felt like he threw away some units. I don't think he's dead by any means. I think he's still in a fine position. He's got 3 bases mining. He's got his upgrades going. Like, he's almost done 1-1 here. And look, like, there's not that much anti-air, so he can make moves like this and not get too punished. Watch as he drops 2 siege tanks out of that. So now the 8 Marines are just tanks.
4 siege tanks come out and siege up, and he loses even harder. I'm like, well, I don't know. Tunneling claws again.
Yeah. He didn't use them really in the previous game.
Yeah, I wonder if it's just for very specific micro situations.
Yeah, well, if you get it, it kind of makes your opponent do a bunch of things. Like, you notice that ByuN is just kind of putting random turrets down so you can see any burrow movement or harassment coming in.
That's a really good point, because you know it's possibly a threat. It just forces them to react enough. They spend more resources just making sure that can't get them.
And it looks like he's going to bring up some into the main base. You can always do things like split them up and force multiple scans. It's cleanup time. It's annoying. It'll kill some SCVs anyways. It's like... It's not quite the same as DT Blink. I think literally any time you're going to make any DTs, DT Blink is good. I wouldn't say it's that good, but it's kind of a similar vein where it's like, it's not hard to make that pay for itself.
Right.
Like, if you're already making a bunch of roaches, it's not hard to find situations where that can pay for itself. Here, it didn't happen yet, but... Oh, that's painful.
He just comes through here and destroys that Evo chamber. Kind of an insane moment back there. Gets both, which is like probably the best 2 buildings you could get for this position.
Yeah.
To just shut down the upgrades. I mean,
Dark really wants to, too.
Yeah. And now he won't have it for a while. This is going to allow Terran to basically be permanently ahead in the upgrade arms race.
Yeah, and he was slightly behind before, so it's a huge moment to swing the game like that. Some more harassment. Coming down, gets a few drones there, pulls away. 5 infestors coming up, as well as that hive. Everything looking much better for ByuN this game than the previous one. I know that a lot of the unit sets look similar, but ByuN was quite a bit further behind before. Here, I think he's ahead. Not unplayable for Dark, for sure, but it's going to need a good engagement.
All right, we've got ByuN getting ready to try to push up. And, I mean, is he going to have enough to hold this? This seems like just such an absurd amount of Roach Ravager that it makes you wonder if Terran should have ever left his base. Now, that being said, this drop is still doing damage. Don't know that he's going to get the hatchery.
Yeah, he focuses the spore so he can actually just fly out of there. Yeah, losing all those siege tanks, that's pretty darn painful. It was a great flank there from Dark. He came in from almost every side.
Yeah.
Nailed the biles. Obviously, these range units of Terran do not like to be flanked.
and he's going to keep trying to push in here. I mean, I can't believe the Sivo is made here again. It's clearly the soft spot on the defenses over here. He's going to deny that again, but this is huge.
Yeah, that was a big fungal bio combination here. Now he's going to kill a ton of depots. The SCV's trying to get away. There are sea shanks on the high ground, which are going to help immensely, but the bios and fungals in combination doing a great job.
Yeah, and you know, that is the third base for Terran. The natural is going to mine out pretty shortly here, and we are having some of the same themes happen again in this game right now, where Zerg just has enough to kind of bully the Terran around.
Yeah, trying to come out once again. The fungal goes down, so he does pull back. Still some good bios coming down. ByuN starting to turn that engagement a little bit. It's harassment going after this hatchery. Oh, we should have transfusion. It looks like Dark just not doing it.
Yeah, he just doesn't have it on.
Meantime.
Kind of a weird moment.
Yeah.
Oh, look at this, the roaches. Okay, that's a good scan by ByuN. I was gonna say, those could pop right up under the tanks and would really basically force ByuN out of any kind of good defensive position. The Zerg can basically attack it wherever he wants. Now, I don't know that Dark knows about this 3 o'clock base, but if Dark does know about it, he's going to attack it within the minute.
I bet he can guess that that's there. I think you got to start to assume that a player of ByuN's level's taking it.
He's pushing. I don't know, man. I don't think this is going to work.
Let's see. It looks like... Are those Ravager eggs? Like 8 Ravager eggs coming up?
I think so.
Yep. So now 19 Ravagers, 16 Roaches, 5 Infestors, which I think are mostly out of energy, and then 2 Vipers. Viper's going to be pretty important here, I think. You can blinding cloud these siege tanks. No? Okay. It's not that many Marauders and Marines.
Yeah, it would seem like if you could just blinding cloud a couple of the siege tanks, you could basically run them over.
Yeah, I think so. I think the bio is not like large enough. Great pickup there as he backs up. But the siege tanks are kind of clumped here as well. Really, the siege tanks are the army for ByuN. Okay, starts yoinking them in. That kind of works. Throws out 1,000,000 bios. Probably closer to 19, but...
Yeah, this is kind of crazy. The thing is, you just don't see ByuN breaking off enough of anything the Zerg has to seem like this is working, right? I mean, every time he comes in here, he gets fungled. A lot of these bios are connecting, which you really can't afford to have as Terran.
Yeah, continuing to push, rallying up those siege tanks 2 at a time. Vipers should be coming back with high energy once again, though. Still ByuN trying to trade as best he can. I like these little spreads he's doing. He's trying to really minimize the damage done by the biles and the fungals. I think he's doing a reasonable job considering. Right now we have 6 lurkers being created as well.
I mean, this fight's gone on for longer than I expected. Not a counterattack from the Zerg at all. Nothing like that, you know, could make this go the opposite direction. And at this point in time, the army supply is built up to the point where it's almost matching the Zerg.
Yeah, here come in the Vipers once again. This is kind of a wild thing. I can't believe that we're still on this battle right now. Yeah, those lurkers really punishing there. Nice fungal as well.
The medevacs are basically out of energy here, so every time you stim, it's just going to be more damage on you. The harpooning of the tanks has been beautiful.
Yeah, 3 of them getting pulled in there. Still pushing forward, though, with these tanks.
Although it does
ByuN
seem
is
like
not letting up.
It just seems like ByuN is getting smaller and smaller in this push, though.
Right, pulls back out.
I mean, there's so many biles happening that they're taking up like fist-sized amounts of space on the screen. Like, it's getting insane here. He's going to try to come up to this base up here. Now, keep in mind, they are even on bases right now. Zerg is not dominating another side of the map here. In fact, there really isn't that much.
Some Lynx and Hydras coming out as he tries to move into this base area, but the lurkers are actually very well positioned, making it hard for ByuN to get too deep in. More biles coming down. ByuN dodges.
These biles a lot harder to dodge when they're in this high number, as they can just take up so much of the screen. ByuN is now about to expand ahead of Dark.
Yeah, he floated his main CC, which is a great move here, I think.
Yeah. And finally, we're having a counterattack. God, I feel like this is just so late.
Well, I mean, ByuN's aggression has been so much during this. Oh, a nice parasitic goes down. He's going to lose a couple medevacs maybe to that.
Loses one tank as well and an overextension. Okay, now he can burrow over here.
Yeah, he's actually attacking 2 bases here. That 3rd and the 5th.
Yeah, if he can even get up anywhere else and do some damage, that's going to be huge as well.
Oh, this is painful too. Don't forget this cuts off reinforcements, which is really ByuN's lifeblood right now because he is being endlessly aggressive with this push.
Yeah, he's got lurkers forking off, going up towards the upper right base as well.
Oh, what a tough situation.
I think this counterattack might just do it. He can actually get lurkers behind the planetary, behind the minerals where the planetary is what I'm trying to say. Oh, no.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to lose that command center, unfortunately. Unable to mine from his 4th base. His natural pretty dry as well.
There's a lot of reinforcements that could merge with this push.
Oh, yeah, cutting off those reinforcements just too strong, and he hasn't done damage to the economy here of Dark.
And now it's ByuN on 3 bases, barely.
Yeah. Still counterattacking a little bit here. Just buying any amount of time is very, very powerful as Dark has set up his 5th. Getting his drones down there right now.
This was a great play by Dark.
Yeah.
ByuN was almost crushing through. The slowest lurker drop ever. And this is going to force scans everywhere. Keep in mind, there's not a lot of workers here. You sort of need the mules.
And how many orbitals does he have?
2.
All right, yeah. Dark eliminates ByuN and goes on to that final match. I think ByuN put up a pretty darn good fight in that 2nd game. That was definitely an interesting one in the relentless, unending push. Like if Dark had not gotten up to the lurkers and Vipers, that would have been death.
Kind of an insane game, man. Like, I want to point something out we didn't have time to mention is that the command center, the orbital was landed at the expansion because he needed more scans. That's how that orbital was picked off. So it's a weird situation where he had just enough of a blanketing of lurkers in different spots that there was no way to deal with it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, props to Dark. I think that was a very cool way that he ended that. And ByuN put up a hell of a fight. I mean, this really is the group of death. And we're going to end on a high note. Coming up next, guys, Dark vs. Bunny. The rematch is coming up next. You do not want to miss it. We'll be right back.